Okay, just to kind of set a frame for this whole thing, the only shortcut to learning anything that is difficult and complex is knowing and understanding the fundamental techniques. There is no other shortcut for something that is very difficult and complex to do. Okay, this is true for music, it's for dance, sports, all of your sports, all your great sports figures had a great coach when they first started and really drilled them in the fundamentals and stuff. And so that's what I'm here to say. That's the frame. That's where you start. So it's about of understanding that maybe what you really need is knowledge in order, because I see the open mics and I see a lot of talented people out there that don't have the knowledge of how to put their entire show, the jokes together correctly, and to put a show together, and then how to perform it, etc. So those fundamentals will clear that right up in a very short period of time. So just wanted to say that. How did we find the fundamentals? Well, when I first began in the beginning, the 1980s, there were no fundamentals. None, zero, zip, nothing. Okay, there was one book. It was called How to Write for Radio. It was for writing for 1940s radio shows for Jack Benny and Bob Hope and those folks. That's the only book that was out there on writing comedy. It was for radio. It was not really, didn't help for stand-up at all, but it was a good book if you wanted to write for radio. It was great. So that was where I started, was like, well, what are the fundamentals? What do you teach? So what are the fundamentals? And I kind of broke them down to principles, techniques, skills, things like that I can actually teach and teach to other people. And then they could apply those things to their own sense of humor. Okay. And that makes me different than other teachers. A lot of teachers of stand-up today, what they do is they just give you their opinion of what's funny or what they like, and you can't perform in their class what they don't like or what they're offended by. We don't do that here. We let you explore and do what you want to do, yet we're going to teach you the fundamentals so that you can communicate clearly to the audience your sense of humor. So how did I develop these fundamentals? First of all, my job has been to identify the techniques. For instance, something like when you're doing crowd work, talking to the audience, and I did it one time, and then I've seen other people do it since, and I identified it as a technique called misunderstanding. Okay, so you get an answer and you purposefully misunderstand it. One time I was talking to a couple, I said, "Are you a couple?" And he said, "More or less." And I looked at his girlfriend or his female companion and said, "He just said you're moralless." And they began to bicker after that I thought was absolutely hilarious. What's the point of doing comedy if you can't break up a couple, right? I mean, what's the point? So with that technique, then my job is to identify it, then turn it into, create an exercise, turn it into an exercise, which I did. And then we would play that exercise until people got so good at it, at recognizing things that they could misunderstand on purpose. And then that becomes a skill. Everything I teach follows this particular format, this template. I have to identify it. I turn it into an exercise. If you do this exercise, you will attain that technique as a skill, which means the difference between knowing what it is and being able to actually do it. To be able to do it while you're in front of people live, you'll be able to do that skill. So that's what I'm always at. So all the writing exercises and performing exercises go through this, and the outcome is for you to attain it as a skill. So next was all exercises are done in class. All these things I'm talking, well, I will be teaching, you'll be doing them in class. We won't just say, here's this. We'll say, here's this, and we'll explain it to you. Then we'll have you do it, and you can ask us questions if you're doing it correctly, and we'll assist you in it. And then some of the things we'll have you take home as some homework, and then we'll review it the following week. Again, going over it again to make sure you really understand it, okay? So all these things are done in class with you, and we are asking you to do some light homework. We're asking everybody to give us 10 minutes a day. Give us an hour a week, but 10 minutes every day. And so that's what we're asking. And it's not that big of an ask, but it goes a long ways over the course of the class. That 10 minutes a day really adds up to a lot of it, a lot of having worked on many of the skills that we're asking you to do. Safe environment. I created a thing I call solution feedback. We don't do the criticism. We recognize what needs to be improved, yet with that, we don't bring that up. We then offer the solution. Comedians don't need somebody to point out something didn't work, because if it didn't work, you already stood there in the roar of silence, which is the loudest sound you will ever hear. So you don't need somebody to go, oh, that didn't work. You know already you need a solution, how to fix it, what to do. You know, can you improve it in some way? And so that's our mandate my mandate for me and all of my teachers, I insist. And we will teach you how to do that as well. So fixing, whenever we fix something, a lot of times when we fix everything, it'll be with a technique. Okay. Fix with a technique. And then we'll explain that technique. We won't just fix it and go, oh, that's better. There's a lot of, anyway, that's just, I don't think, oh, I like that better, or that's better. The teacher goes, oh, I like that. Oh, that's much better. And why? Why is it much better? So the next time you run into that situation, if we explain to you the technique we're using to fix that, then the next time you run into it, go, oh, I've seen this before, and the fix was this, and then you can fix it. So that's why we keep explaining the techniques, because everything we're doing is principles, skills, techniques, mechanisms that we explain to you so that you can get good at them and then do them on your own when you're away from class. And the open mics used to be it used to be the only way to get any training. Used to be. It's not true anymore. Not since I started teaching classes. This is another way of going about getting good at something and getting through some of the rough parts without it being so frightening and terrifying. You find yourself being able to be prepared in a lot of other things. So open mics are no longer, that's one way to learn. I find if you combine good technique with the open mics, you grow a heck of a lot faster. And so that's not where that's supposed to be. So Curtis, take this one.
All right. Thanks for having me. I got to leave at 4:30, but I'm here. Why should I take a class instead of just doing open mics? Well, learn the fundamentals. That's the only shortcut. What we're after here at Greg Dean is performing at 5+ laughs per minute. That's what we want as a professional comedian. And this is a safe place to be bad. You have a great place to suck. All of us are going to stink when we first start out in stand-up. We might be funny to our friends, but it may be a learning curve to learn in front of the public. And you're going to get support on and off stage by you'll be connected to all of the teachers. There are multiple teachers. You'll have a Slack channel. You'll have open mics with Kevin. He loves running them. And they have office hours where you'll be able to come in and talk about your specific issues for the week with teachers for free. So all of that is included in the price of your class. And you'll be collaborating with experienced comedians. I've been doing comedy since the 80s. Kevin's been doing it since the 1940s. Greg's been doing it since the 1800s. So experience, kids. Of developing bad performing habits, we're going to help you do. Greg's students quickly move past the open mic phase and get booked in good comedy rooms. In fact, Greg right now is doing his in-person classes at the Comedy Chateau in Los Angeles. And that's a great place to perform. I think maybe he'll be doing showcases there. I don't know. But Greg knows everybody in town, as does Gayla, his assistant, and Kevin. You can't get from open mics with Greg and the staff here. We can give you from 40 years, plus my 80 years, plus Kevin's 170 years, plus Gayla. You haven't met Gayla. She's fantastic. But anyway, we're going to save you 4 to 6 years of development time if you're coming to comedy class, as opposed to doing it on your own. I tell people, listen, you can always learn how to do surgery without going to medical school, but you're going to kill a lot of people. So not in a good way. Not in a good way, my friend. You want to ruin open mic in your city? No training. Go do it. That restaurant closes next week. That's all I'm saying. You want to risk it? Go ahead. Is there anything else, Greg? I think I've done.
No, that's
okay.
Back to me. All right. That's
got it.
Thank you. Okay.
And back to Greg Dean.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Kevin, mute Curtis. Okay.
He muted himself because he knew it was coming.
Okay, understanding joke structure. There is joke structure. Jokes have a structure. And it's universal. I uncovered this myself. That took me 15 years to understand what a joke was. It was not simple. I can teach it to you now in a matter of minutes, but it took me 15 years to figure it out. So just some fundamentals here. When I say joke, I mean a single unit of humor. And people say, oh, you mean one-liner? Yeah, one-liners, but a joke in a story, a joke in observations, a joke in a cartoon or a comic strip, or in a movie, in a sitcom, in a sketch, doesn't matter. When you structure and you see where a joke is, I call that a joke, and that's just a single unit of humor. Okay, that's when I say a joke, that's what I mean. Okay, so all jokes have 2 parts and 3 mechanisms. Okay, and we'll teach you about this. This is a big fundamental. Here's what's interesting about that. Setup and punch are not joke structure. You can look all over the internet and see all these videos about joke structure, and they're talking setup and punch. Setup and punch is just the format we use for communicating one-liners. That's just, cartoons, another way of communicating humor. A sketch, another way of communicating. I mean, just saying setup and punch is just one way of communicating a joke. Okay, it's communicated lots of different ways. Okay, so setup and punch are not joke structure. It's kind of like going and saying, I want to learn the fundamental of music, and the teacher says, oh, okay, what you need to learn is song. What? Orchestra, opera. Wait, those are just ways of expressing music, different ways of expressing music, right? Well, setup and punch is just one of the ways we learn to express humor. So that's not joke structure. Joke structure is something very different. Once you understand joke structure, and I think this is really, really important, these things here is what you're able to do. First of all, identify where the joke is. I see people, I can do privates all the time, and somebody will come in and they'll have pages and pages and pages, and they'll read a long paragraph of something, and I'll go, okay, you got one joke in there. Oh, and I'll go, this is the joke, right? And they'll go, oh yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. And it's real short. They've written all this stuff because they don't know where the joke is. So they just keep writing, trying to hope to make it funnier. But when you can identify where the joke is, then you can learn to write it correctly and shortly so that it will pop a laugh. So identifying it's important. Next is you can fix jokes. A lot of people who work in this field, basically the way that they don't fix jokes, really. What they do is say, if it didn't get a laugh, take it out. Not me and not my crew. Most of the time, because you've got a funny idea in there and you haven't articulated it clearly. And there's so many things that you can do that can, little technical things that can take a very funny joke. So you're not really killing the joke. The joke is a good joke in there. When you do all these other things, there's a lot of things in writing and performing where you can kill the laugh, not the joke. The joke's still a good joke that's in there, but you can kill the laugh for a lot of reasons. So learning to fix that joke so that it doesn't kill the laugh, because many times it's a great idea. It's a funny idea, yet there's a way you have to communicate it to make it a joke. And writing jokes at will. People have a hard time believing that I can teach people to write jokes pretty much at will. I'm part of the International Society of Humor Studies, and it really does exist. You can look it up, ISHS, International Society of Humor Studies. It's basically 5,000 or so PhDs all over the world and universities and me. And I went in and showed them my model, and a bunch of them showed up, and then they were very skeptical. Of course they should be. And then I taught them to write a joke in about 3 minutes, and they all went, wow. So then they all started talking to me, and now I'm really close friends with some of the top humor theorists on the planet, because I went there and took a chance and put my stuff out there and actually taught them to write a joke in a very short period of time, and they were shocked. And all these people do is study humor. And I had to teach them how to write a joke. Very funny, very interesting. So going to that, writing material, writing jokes. You can wait for that bolt of lightning, or you can have a system so you can write jokes anytime on any subject. Okay. You don't have to wait. There are, I'm going to teach you 5 methods of generating material. Five different ones. One of them is what a joke prospector writing system. That's I invented that writing system. That is the only system on the planet that will take you from 0 to, through a system, a series of steps, to a completed joke. One-liner though it may be, you'll understand by going through those steps, you'll actually understand how to write a joke because you're writing jokes for the first time. We'll write one-liners. We're also then going to go into telling funny stories. It's not just about one-liners. Okay, but the joke structure, the joke structure is the same in storytelling, but the way you approach it is different. You present it differently. That's what I was saying before, a one-liner versus storytelling. It's a different presentation of that joke. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Rant to routines. Ranting, getting up and talking out an idea, then we record it and help you turn it into a routine. Now, the way we help you, we'll have writing groups you can be a part of, and using other talents. A lot of people come and they go, oh, well, what about a guitar? I play the piano. I do this, I do that, etc. And I go, sure, bring it in. Bring it in. Well, here's an example of somebody brought in. He's a world-class violinist. I mean, you can look him up, Armando Anto, if you want to. You'll find him in Europe playing solo, performing all that. He gave it up and came to me and said, I want to be a stand-up comedian. So he uses his violin in his stand-up act, and to this very day, he's now within a year and 3 months is what he told me, he was a paid headline comedian, because people ask him, how'd you do that? And he said, well, I just did everything Greg taught me to do. That's what he said it to people. Said, I just did. He teach you all these things. If you guys would all do all these things and follow what he teaches you, you can get there. It's a process. If you'll do it all, a lot of people aren't as dedicated as he is. Here's our Armando.
I'm gonna play a sad love song, and it means my love for you is eternal. I can actually be serious.
That's
I can play something more American.
There is Armando. So just to let you know, there's... Anyway, so the next thing we're going to talk about is improving jokes. There are many reasons good jokes don't get laughs. You don't kill the joke, you kill the laugh. And you'll learn the proper ways to rewrite any joke. So first, we go back to the same thing of joke structure, identifying the joke, rewriting it concisely, eliminating comics cliches. The person was so lazy, and then the audience yells, how lazy were they? Because you don't want to do that. Exploring jokes as scenes. It's, instead of just a line of dialogue, there's a whole little world inside of a joke. And applying what I call comedy grammar. There's certain ways you need to write a joke to have certain elements in certain places in a joke to make it work at its best. That's improving. Next is creating strong premises, okay? In the dictionary, it's a premise is stating, making a statement from which you develop a further argument, and in comedy, that further argument are the jokes. So you state your premise, and then you do a bunch of jokes that follow, which are examples of that premise. So it starts the routine, okay, and then it states your message for it, and then it keeps the routine on track, tells the audience what you're going to talk about for the next few minutes, and it establishes your comic voice. So this is Peter Kay. He's a Brit comedian and very good. If you don't know him, follow him. But here's one bit. You'll hear him state his premise at the top. Then he'll get his laughs after that, which are examples of that premise, which is one of the great ways to put together build a routine, which is what this is all about, to show you those skills. Here's Peter Kay.
You know all about a karaoke. When you're singing on a karaoke, you haven't got a clue that those were words. I was singing Take That, Back for Good. Wash your back, wash your back, wash your back. Want your back? What's this? Want your back? I've been singing Wash Your Back 15 years. It's only when you go on a karaoke and you see lyrics, that's what they're supposed to be singing. You know that song, We Are Family? For years I thought they were singing, Just Let Me Staple the Vicar. Right? Who's right and who's wrong here? Listen.
All of the people around us, they say, can they be that close? Just let me stay for the record.
That's what they sing. Just let me staple the vicar. What's all that about?
Just let me stay for the record.
It's two laughs out of that, off of the same bit of audio.
Right, because it's such a funny bit. But see how clear now this particular bit goes on for another 7-8 minutes of different examples of songs that you never knew until you did karaoke what the words were. I mean, he's got 7 or 8 or 9 or maybe even 10 of these different songs. Watch it online if you want. This one here in particular. By the way, the lyric is just let me state for the record. And you're right. It sounds like just let me staple the vicar. So that's him. So Kev, take over.
All right, so a little bit to tell you a little bit about what sets us apart. We teach techniques, not opinions. What do you mean by technique? We give you the actual things that you can practice to be a better communicator, to clearly communicate your sense of humor. Our teachers are certified in Greg Dean's system. We spend a lot of time learning and assimilating the information from Greg's system. We have step-by-step techniques. You literally can go from zero to show with what we're going to teach you. We give solution feedback, not criticism. Nobody wants to hear that something sucked, and nobody wants to hear that didn't work. You know it didn't work because you didn't hear a laugh. So we give solution feedback. We might say you need to very clearly express your point of view. Something similar to that. That didn't really describe it, but you know what I'm saying. We have no censorship except clear and present danger. That means you can't threaten anybody or do anything. Do any kind of comedy from the point of view of a predator. Unless it's an animal predator. Then we'd probably be okay with it. All right, so building a routine 101. This is a five weeks. Now, in 5 weeks, you're not going to master everything, but you're going to get a good understanding of each thing if you just simply do your 10 minutes a day. Class 1, we start with joke structure. We analyze what makes a joke. How does a joke work? A joke is a mental process. So we need to go over that with you. We go into joke writing. After joke writing, we go to the 4 principles, which are the principles that you build your routine around. We're going to talk about premises and ranting, and you just work on your stuff 10 minutes a day. And you come back class 2, we go over premises and ranting. We go over the assignment, more joke writing. And then we go into telling funny stories. A lot of people say, oh, I don't really do jokes. I tell funny stories. Well, when you tell funny stories at a professional level, there should be jokes there. That's part of what you do. And you have to know where the joke is. So we come back class 3. We do some more telling funny stories. We review the assignment. We do jokes and storytelling. That's interesting. You'll see how we merged the two from joke structure and joke writing into telling funny stories. We have a fabulous rehearsal process. This rehearsal process helps you, instead of memorizing your material, you remember your material just like you remember when you're telling a story to a friend. We help you rewrite your routine. We're going to help you rehearse it. We're going to get you on your feet. You're going to perform your routine. And by the end of class 5, you will have a 1-minute show. Now, a 1-minute show And we will have you perform it several times and give you different feedback on it. 1 minute, sometimes people go, oh, I thought I'd get 20 minutes. You're not going to get 20 minutes in 5 classes. Maybe somebody would, but I would tell you this. If you can write a tight 1 minute show with 5 laughs, you're right at a professional level. And then I know you can do it with 3 minutes. I know you can do it with 5 minutes. So it's a great place to start. We have to crawl before we walk, before we run. All right, now's your time. You can turn your dreams into reality. You know, a lot of times people say they want to do stand-up. The big question mark is, where do you start? We provide you with a place to start. A lot of people say, well, how do I get better? We provide you with a place to get better, all technique based. Right now, if you'd like to go on to join us, you can go on the payment link that I put into the chat. I'll drop, and we also have the code. The code is 50 Greg off.
I'm glad my name wasn't Jack.
Did you like how I paused for that? That was,
Yeah,
that was
nice. That's nice.
Yeah, that was good timing. I knew that was coming. All right. So standupcomedy.com class. You can get the code for $50 off. All right, let's continue.
It's me. I'm back. All right, here we go. All right. So it's now I'm gonna talk about telling funny stories. We talked about that. See, you need to learn joke structure first, and then how do you apply joke structure to telling funny stories? One-liners are only one way to communicate the funny. Storytellings are much more complex because there's more techniques used to get the laugh. You have to set up situations. There's situations in storytelling. Okay. You portray the characters that you're talking about in storytelling. You do act outs. You actually do the scenes themselves. Okay. You got to write the jokes for the scenes. There's a different way we present them, and much more of these things. So there's a lot that goes into storytelling. There's many more skills other than just being able to write the jokes. Okay, storytelling is far more complex. So we need to teach you many of the stories and how to stage the stories so that they clearly are communicated to the audience. So that's for that. Now here's John Mulaney. Watch him. He tells a story and he stages it, and he does a lot of act outs. He does all kinds of things. Watch what he does, and then we'll talk about it.
I'm changing between subway trains, right? And it's 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? And you have to walk down this long corridor in order to change trains. 2 o'clock in the morning, it's just me and this woman. And she's walking a few yards ahead of me. And we're walking down, and she starts giving me, like, the over-the-shoulder, like that, you know? Like, look at it. And then she starts to pick up the pace. She starts to walk a lot faster. So I think, oh, she must hear the train coming. You know, or she feels it in her feet like a Native American in a movie. So I start to sprint down the hallway at her, and she looks back and she's like, ah! And then she gives chase, so now we're like booking it down the corridor at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gaining on her. I'm gaining on her, and we're getting to the end of the hallway, and she's going into that like dead end shuffle, you know, that women do when you chase them. And I'm almost there. I'm almost at her, and then it dawns on me. Oh, she's running from me. Because in her eyes, I'm an adult. And adults rape each other.
Wow, that's a lot more complex than Stephen Wright standing there delivering a one-liner. Okay, so you want to do storytelling. There's a lot of staging going on there. There's a lot of pantomime, to what we call space and object work. He's holding the purse on his shoulder when he's being the woman. There's all these little reality things that people don't take into account when they think about storytelling. It's again, the joke structure is the same, but the presentation is more complex, has more skills in it. So just to understand that. So next is filling routines with jokes. See, everything you bring to us doesn't have to be, everything's got to be perfect. That's why we're training you to write and organize and stage and build a routine. We're going to show you how to fill a routine with jokes. So there's dozens of spaces in a show that's begging for to be filled with a joke, and there's dozens of techniques that we're going to teach you for learning how to add those jokes. Okay, that's really important for you to understand that it's something that's a routine, something that is developed, not something that's just written and it's done. That's one of the misnomers about stand-up comedy and routines. It's developed over a series of time and experimented with, sometimes for many months before the person has really got it down to where they really feel like it's at its best. Sometimes months of, Steve Martin used to say he played with a new bit for 3 to 6 months before he really knew how to get the best laughs out of it. And that's Steve Martin, 3 to 6 months. So the rest of us are, we at least give ourselves the leeway to do that much, don't you think? So here's the same story by John Mulaney. If you look up over here, we got a little graphic that's going to pop in. And it's going to show you where I believe he added a joke. I think this story was really simple. He was at a subway late at night. There was a woman walking in front. She started walking faster. He started walking faster. And at the end of this, he realized, oh, she wasn't running for the train. She was running from him. I think that's the whole story. Let's watch this again and see where I believe he added jokes to this. So watch this. It's very interesting because he's a master at filling a simple story in with a whole lot of laughs.
I'm changing between subway trains, right? And it's 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? And you have to walk down this long corridor in order to change trains. 2 o'clock in the morning, it's just me and this woman. And she's walking a few yards ahead of me. And we're walking down, and she starts giving me like the over the shoulder, like that, like look at her. And then she starts to pick up the pace. She starts to walk a lot faster. So I think, oh, she must hear the train coming. Or she feels it in her feet like a Native American in a movie. So I start to sprint down the hallway at her, and she looks back and she's like, ah! And then she gives chase, so now we're like booking it down the corridor at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gaining on her. And we're getting to the end of the hallway, and she's going into that like dead end shuffle, that women do when you chase them. And I'm almost there. I'm almost at her, and then it dawns on me. Oh, she's running from me. Because in her eyes, I'm an adult. And adults rape each other.
So more than half the laughs were probably added to this joke, to this routine now as he started playing with it and writing it and performing it. And again, they're developed. It's developed. It's not just written and that's it. That's not the way that this works, okay? So you need to understand that's part of what we're here to teach you about how to build a routine. It's developed. Next is organizing jokes into a routine. What do you do with all those jokes? You told and and you say in public, and that a little starts with a story that you were told, and the more you tell it, you find more jokes, and then other people add jokes, or in class, the teachers add some jokes and tags, and now you got this big conglomeration of stuff, and you're not really sure what to do with it. I say you need to know your BCAs. Your BCAs, and this is what I mean by that. You actually you open with your B material. You put your C material in the middle, and you close with your A material. B, C, A. This is what I mean by we teach you a technique. We don't just say, oh, put this routine together this way because I like it. That's not what we do. We say follow the laughs. So what if you haven't performed it? You take your best guess. What do I think are the second funniest ones, and the middle ones, and then what's my best stuff I'm going to end with? You take a guess, then you go out and perform it, and then listen to the recording and then adjust it. That's what I mean developed. and you keep adjusting it and adding more jokes to it, and et cetera. And when you finally really smooth out that BCA, you've got a routine that gets the audience in the middle, and then, and then the middle stuff is better because they're already laughing, and then you zoom it to the end and end with your funniest stuff. BCA, and this is what we mean by teach a technique. This is one of the techniques that we teach for organizing a stand-up comedy routine. So managing stage fright. Oh, this is huge. I don't know, I never got rid of it. And most of the comedians I know never got rid of it. Maybe the old timers who are, really, really old, George Burns and stuff like that, and, those guys may have gotten over it over time or something, but I never did. And the people I know never did. They still get nervous before a show. So you don't want to really get rid of the butterflies. You want them to fly in formation. You want them to all be going in the same direction as excitement to get you on stage and make you better, to use that energy that way. So what are some of the ways that we can help manage stage fright? One is help you with the fear of the unknown. A friend of mine wrote a book called No More Butterflies, and he's a professor at a major university. And it was based on research. This is research. He did research, and and so he found that fear of the unknown was the most common thing that made people really afraid. How do we overcome that and deal with that? And repeatedly performing in class. So the process of getting up and trying and writing jokes and trying the jokes and doing all that over and over and over again. Oh, it's now not so unknown. You kind of understand the process that you need to go through. So, you get more comfortable with it, so it's not as frightening. And again, you're doing it in a safe environment where we're not going to be criticizing. We're going to be giving you solutions to get better. Next is fear of feeling unprepared. Yeah. Don't feel like, I'm really prepared. I'm ready to go out, and I may be nervous, but if you feel prepared, even though you're a little nervous, boy, that goes a long ways to getting past those nerves, because you're going, wait, I've got something I've tried a bunch of times in class and worked it out, and all. And that feeling prepared is huge when you go on stage. To make you, more, I don't know, I want to say comfortable, but make you feel, more confident because you're feeling prepared for this unknown, this scary situation. And it is. We're going to make no bones about that. So it's about managing that, learning techniques for managing that. Okay, so and so building the whole 101 routine that you're going to be doing, this 1 minute thing, that's preparing you. You'll have 1 minute that's at a professional level. 5+ laughs per minute is a professional level. The other night I had one of my students, I was at an open mic at this new Comedy Chateau club that we're working at, and I was at an open mic. And the people up there were working at 1, maybe 2 laughs per minute, and it was so sloppy. And one of my students got up there and she did 3 minutes, and she did 3 minutes of joke, laugh, joke, laugh, joke, laugh, joke. She worked at 5 laughs per minute, and no one had seen her before, and they're all going, "Wow, man, this lady is, wow, she's on top. She knows what she's doing," and she automatically got a showcase at that club. Wow. The owner saw her and said, "Hey, come and do this other show with us. We'd like to put you up for 5 minutes." And because she'd studied with us for a while, she has that, and he instantly recognized she knew what she was doing. So all this will give you the confidence to get on stage. That's what you need, is that feel, I know, well, I'm kind of know what to expect. I'm still nervous. And I'm feeling prepared. I'm still nervous, but that can give you a great deal of courage to get on stage. And that's managing it instead of it. Because when fear wins, every time you let fear win, you get better at whatever you work at. Whatever you do regularly, you get better at. So if you're really good at letting fear win, you just keep getting better at letting fear win. The more you don't let fear win, you really do get better at not letting fear win, not letting the fear push you around. Because In stand-up comedy, there's no actual physical violence or anything like that. That's a fear. It's all psychological. You're afraid you won't do well. You're afraid people will laugh at you. You're afraid you're going to feel humiliated. You're afraid you're going to be disappointed in yourself, or you'll feel like, oh, I don't have any talent, or, you'll have to come face to face with those things. That's the fear. That's all psychological. Okay. So you're really overcoming your own boundaries. Okay, you're really facing your own personal places where you really can help yourself learn how to face some of your own limitations. And they're not real limitations. They're ones that you've put there because of fear. Oh, and once you walk through what the Zen Buddhists call that gateless gate, there's no gate there. There's nothing stopping you except walking through that gate. And then when you get to the other side of it, you go, oh, usually what you do is go, oh, wasn't so bad. That's okay. This is fun. That's what we're after. All right, here's Alex Distefano, one of my students. He came, he knew nothing about comedy. He'd never performed. He had never told a joke in his life. He didn't understand comedy in any way. He'd been a musician for a while. And everything, and knew he liked performing in music and things, but he wanted to be a stand-up comedian. He came and said, teach me. And this is after this 101 class, right? This is his final show. This is his 1-minute show after the class, okay, that we're talking about building a routine. Okay, here, I'll let him just talk to you.
I think I got a lot of good material in my head that I could write with, but I just got to get over a little bit of stage fright.
Yeah, Alex.
All right, thanks everybody for supporting virtual comedy. It's my first time doing this. This all feels like a dream to me, but I think that's because I ate the mushrooms before the show. I might start to see trails, so just forgive me. Be with me. I just went camping on a 6-week camping vacation, living in a tent for 6 weeks. I was homeless in Skid Row. Yeah, I had a mental health incident. I had to move back in with my parents. It's okay though, it's not a bad thing. My mom's a good cook. Problem is she cooks crystal meth. Yeah, my dad always said my ass was good for nothing. So I started smuggling heroin in my anus. I just got my unemployment. Oh, fuck, I just fucked up. I think it's because I smoked too much weed. Just got a pay raise. Yeah, I got my unemployment check. I went to a gender reveal party. They called the cops on me because I was the only one to reveal my gender.
That's Alex. Now, whether you think they're the greatest jokes in the world or not, I think several of them are really excellent jokes, but everything he does is in joke structures, tight. He put it together. He worked on it. This was developed. This is what doesn't, this took him the weeks to develop and work on this. And that's a lot of jokes for a person who's been doing stand-up comedy for 5 weeks. He started at zero. He really knew nothing at all about stand-up comedy. I, was really proud of him because he worked hard at this. So next is performing with confidence. That's what y'all, I think, are looking for. The performing with confidence. So let me tell you a secret right now. Confidence is earned. It's not something you get as a gift. It's not something that's just out there that you kind of pick up. It's earned. It's earned from getting in and failing, and then working your way back from that, from getting yourself in trouble on stage and working your way out of it, and going blank and working your way out of it. So every time you do one of these things, you go, oh, I can handle my situation. I can handle this. I can do this. Okay, I get myself in a little, a tough place, and trying to handle hecklers, but every time you work your way through it, you get more confidence. Oh, I handled that real well. And the more you do it, that's why there's no substitute for stage time. Confidence is earned. I let people come, oh, I'll perform when I get some confidence. That person will never perform. Confidence just doesn't come to you, you know, it's FedEx cannot deliver this to you. Okay. This is something that you must earn with stage time. Now, how can we help with that in the class? One is complete your assignments. We're asking for 10 minutes a day. When you get up and perform and you're feeling prepared, use the teacher's feedback. We give you solutions, implement those solutions so your show gets better because there are techniques that work. Okay. Prepare your in-class performances. A lot of people don't do their best. So they go, well, you know, I didn't do well because I didn't really try. Yeah, they give themselves an out. Wow. Okay. Well, why am I not feeling more confident? Because you're not believing in yourself and doing the work and presenting the best work you can present. Attend our weekly office hours. We have office hours on Zoom where like an hour a week or so. You can come in there and talk to one of my certified teachers and sometimes me. I did it just the other day and went over a show with a lady that didn't go well. And we had a great talk and she did straighten things out and now she's out performing. And so those office hours are great. You can get help with your assignments if you don't understand. There's all kinds of things. Do our open mics. We have open mics. Come and do them, or at least come and watch them so you realize they're not so scary because we present them with a great deal of support, okay? So we're not going to throw you under the bus. I don't believe in taking people out in the middle of the ocean and dropping them off as a way of teaching them to swim. I believe in swimming lessons first, okay? So you have some confidence when you go out there and go, oh, I do know how to float and I do know how to do all these things. And people are there watching you. You got a lifeguard, which is us. We'll help you when you need a little lifeline, we'll pull you right in. We're going to help you out. We'll be there for you. And the confidence will come from building that 5 laughs per minute. I'm telling you, once you know you've designed a show at 5+ laughs per minute, that just goes a long ways to giving you that kind of confidence that when you walk out there and you're nervous, but you're going to going, well, I have this show I can rely upon. Now, your show eventually becomes your best friend. It's like this person that can help you go and be there for you when you go and do a show and stuff. So it's there. All right. So Kev, take over.
You got it. Cassie, the class includes a whole bunch of things. Like I said, it's 5 weeks long. It includes the free PDF handouts for the assignments. We do have Zoom support and training. And the reason we do that is because we want you to look and sound your best when you're doing Zoom shows. We record the classes so you can actually do a makeup class by reviewing the video, which works out really well. We have the office hours, as Greg said. They are a casual Zoom meeting. You get the link, you hop on there. If you have a question, you show up at the top of the hour, but a lot of people like to just come and hang out and talk shop and help us create a stand-up comedy support system for them. We have direct messaging to the students and teachers. As I think Curtis said, we have a Slack community. You'll be able to always message us in real time. If you have a link that doesn't work, if technology is not working, you'll be able to send us a message. You get a membership in our global stand-up community. That's part of the Slack. We also have our Facebook group, which I would highly recommend that you join as well. And we have free weekly open mics. Right now we have one virtual open mic and one, we're getting ready to start a live open mic. But that might open up to a little bit more because summer people took vacations, so we decided we were spinning our wheels. So we just have one going right now. It's been a lot of fun. And the coolest thing is there are people from all over the world. No matter what, you cannot get this in an in-person class. That's what's so cool about it.